In this session, we will use Qtp to create data-driven, keyword-driven and hybrid type of framework. So let's get started. What is a software framework? A framework defines a set of guidelines or best practices that enforces a set of standards which makes it easy to use for the end users to work with. There are different types of automation frameworks, and the most common ones are listed below. Data-driven framework, keyword-driven framework, hybrid framework. Let's discuss each of one in detail. Let's discuss the data-driven framework in detail. This framework is driven by the different combinations of input and output data. Data-driven testing is creation of test scripts where test data and/or output values are read from data files instead of using the same hard-coded values each time the test runs. This way testers can test how the application handles various inputs effectively. It can be any of the below data files. This type of framework is useful in the applications where functionality is tested with several inputs and capture the respective outputs. The general steps involved in the data-driven framework are: prepare the test case for the application under testimony. Add the objects from application under test to object repository. Write the scripts based on the test case. In this session, we will develop a data-driven framework for a sample test case by using Excel as an external source for the test data. Let's discuss the step-by-step process of data-driven framework. The first step is to prepare the test cases for the application under test. Here, the test cases are written to open the order number, and get the customer name for that order in flight reservation application. Repeat the same process for different order numbers. The external source for the sample is an Excel file. The VB script in Qtp must be written to open an Excel file in order to read the test data. This can be achieved in a hierarchical manner. First open an Excel file as application. Then from the specified location open the workbook. Afterwards move to the sheet where test data is present, and at the end read the cell data. Once the test case is ready, start adding all the required objects to the repository. In our test case, the objects need to be added are as follows. First object is open folder icon on our test application. Next, we will add order number checkbox when the open folder icon is clicked. After that we will add edit test box for order number where we can enter the numbers. Let's move for remaining objects. Next test objects in our application are the OK button, edit text box for name field. Name will be populated once OK button is clicked for a particular order number. Once all the required objects have been added, the object repository will appear as follows. You can see the test object details are added under the flight reservation test application. It also shows the selected object properties in right side pane. So, we have learned the process of adding objects from test application to object repository. Now, let's move to the third and the last step. Third and the last step in data-driven framework is writing the scripts based on the test cases. Before running the script, ensure that the Excel file containing the test data has been saved, and is closed. We have given Excel name as flightddf.xlsx and sheet name as sheet1. Let's go through the steps one by one written in this example script. First declare and assign values for the variables. Then specify the Excel path through variable vpath. After that, write script to open the Excel as application and from there navigate to the worksheet containing the cells to read and write. Now read the order number from the Excel and assign it into the application through variable vorder and write the customer name from the application through variable vname. Specify the iteration to repeat reading and writing the data for all the iterations until the row count becomes empty. Let's check the script output. Once the script is run, the output can be obtained from the Excel as follows. Order number and respective customer name. The data-driven framework can also be developed by writing descriptive programming. Let's see the steps in detail. Here the script example is written in descriptive programming. First step is write VB script to establish the database connection. Second step is write VB script to open a record set or a table. Third step is write VB script to open desired field. Fourth step is the particular cell is read from the field. Let's see the output of the script. Once the script is run, the output is as follows. ID, order number and respective customer name. Let's summarize advantages and disadvantages of the data-driven frameworks. Keyword-driven framework is a framework where keywords drive the test. Here keyword refers to the user-defined functions. In this framework, keywords are created in order to perform a particular test step or a test case. These keywords are then called into the driver test to run several test cases in the same test. In general, the frameworks can be developed in three ways in order to run to the test. First, record and run the test. Second, add objects to the local repository and write the scripts for all test steps. Third, write descriptive programming for all test steps. In this session, the keyword-driven framework is developed by recording and running the test. Our aim is to run a single test for 5 different test cases such as login into the application, insert an order, open an order, delete an order and close the application. Hence, we will record the test steps for these test cases and create the functions with keywords login, insert order, open order, delete order and close app respectively. Here you can see the recorded script example for application login test case. Here you can see the recorded script example for second test case, insert the order. Here you can see the recorded script example for third test case, open the order. Here you can see the recorded script example for fourth test case, delete the order. Here you can see the recorded script example for the last test case, close the application. The functions that are created for different test cases are saved in a function library, and are associated with the main test. It is enough to call the keywords for the needed test cases in the main test, thereby reducing the size of the driver script in the main test. The driver script for this simple framework looks like this. Also, by running the above script, the actual result for all the 5 test cases can be obtained from a single test. The typical flow of a keyword-driven framework is as follows. When you run the test script in Qtp, it will first call the driver function from the function library which has the logic to read keywords from Excel sheet. This driver function reads the keyword from the Excel sheet. The function then identifies the action that is associated with this keyword. The driver function will then call this function which will do the required operations on the application under test. Once the function has completed execution, the control moves back to the driver function. The driver function reads the next keyword and the flow continues till all the keywords are read. Let's summarize advantages and disadvantages of the keyword-driven framework. Hybrid framework is a combination of data-driven framework and keyword-driven framework where several test cases with several inputs can be executed in the same test. In this image, the same test cases that are used in keyword-driven framework will be executed in a single test. The keywords and the scripts for all the test cases are same. However, test case 3. Open the order has been parameterized. Hence the script for this test case is written to receive the order number from an Excel file and to write the customer name into the Excel file. Let's check the script example for test case 3, open the order. Here the same script is used to develop a data-driven framework, thereby achieving the test case for several iterations. By following this simple method, parameterization of test case 3 is achieved. If applicable, all the other test cases can also be parameterized in the same test. Above example is a very simple way of designing hybrid framework. The same framework can also be achieved with descriptive programming. Let's summarize advantages and disadvantages of the hybrid framework. Thank you for attending the session of Creating Automation Frameworks with Qtp.